Hello and welcome to this video where I go over the features of Pogomap. Pogomap is sort of a big website with many features, so I'm only going to go over the navigation and giving an overview of features, and we'll be discussing the features in more detail in a future video. So the first thing to note is gyms are in orange there, for example the Airman, and Pokestops are in cyan. I know some people, they don't really use this word cyan, but then other languages don't differentiate between light and dark red. Uh, like we have pink. But I digress. I just like to be accurate. And you can sign in up here, and you've got various sign-in methods: Discord, Google, Twitter, Facebook. The thing to note is they do have an official Discord server, and on the official Discord server, it does show raid, task, and Pokemon reports. And you can also report nests on here. Now, as my community doesn't use Pogomap or the official Pogomap Discord bot, for me it's pointless reporting raids, etc., because it only benefits spoofers, and even then, that relies on spoofers using Pogomap, which I know a spoofer or two, and they've got ways in that would mean that they don't need to use Pogomap. Let's just put it that way. Um, so let's sign in, and by the way, if you're curious, my Discord tag, I made that using a Unicode generator, because you see it's not non-standard characters. And I might put a link to that in the description if you want to generate stuff. Right, so now you notice things are a bit different. So here the gyms have got a gold outline around them. That's to signify that that is one of my gold gym badge gyms, because you can make a note to say which locations you have visited and what's your gym badge level. And you can do that for Pokestops and gyms. And you can earn 60 RP points for doing so. And RP points are what you use to level up. That's important for the mod panel, because you need to be at least level 25 to become a mod. But mod status currently isn't implemented, so no need to worry about that at this stage. But it is nice to be able to keep track of things such as gym badges. I mean, I was going to have a spreadsheet, but then I thought, well, Pogomap's good enough, and it's a nice visual indication as to what I've been doing in the area. Then if we go to my profile, you'll note that I have 132 gold gym badges. That may seem like a lot, but there's a couple of people in my town that have over 200 gold gym badges. But then they have the luxury of 1, driving, 2, being on Team Mystic, and 3, just, I guess, being more obsessed about Pokemon Go than I am. But then 132 gold gym badges, yeah, that is a pretty obsessive amount, but just trying to put it in perspective, yes, it may seem impressive, but there's people that have gone even above and beyond what I have. But I'd like to think I am the person with the most gold gym badges in my town who isn't on Team Mystic, because I don't have the luxury of being on the team that the most people are on. So, here you've got the rank, and the way the ranking system works is the rank above yours is requiring 250 more points than the rank you're currently on to get into that rank. So let's say, for argument's sake, the rank 1, it's not, by the way, is worth 250 points. So that would mean rank 2 is worth 500, rank 3 is 750, and so on and so forth. So for me to get to rank 54, I need, I don't even know what number, 270,650 points. That sounds about right. Because there's no comma there, it's throwing me off, but I believe that is 270,400. So then you've got date registered, mod status, that's pretty self-explanatory. And it tells you how many raids you reported, how many added locations, and then your visited locations, etc. So you earn points by adding locations, and you earn even more points than you would normally by marking those as in Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Now, I don't play that game, but I know a few people that do, so they're kind of keeping the map up to date, because there is a sister website for Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which, if you're interested, I can link to. And Then here in the second tab, you've got My Locations, and you can do Control F on your web browser, and it will highlight locations. Let's say I want to search for Maidstone Cemetery Chapel. Yeah, getting the keys on the keyboard wrong there, but it will just highlight it, and then you can go up and down because there's multiple chapels that I've added. Tovel Scouts Chapel World War II Memorial, that's another one. And you can see you can just go down the list. And then My Map is an interesting little feature. What it does is it creates a private map, and you can share it with other people, and then only people that you shared the map with can see, say, the private markers. And the reason you want to do that is so you don't duplicate submissions. Now, we tried using it and found it a bit cumbersome because only the person that created the map can remove the private markers that everyone else has added. Coordination is key. Maybe that's not the best way of doing it, but it at least allows you to show other people what you've been submitting, because private markers will ordinarily only be visible to yourself, hence the name private marker. And we can go over private markers and adding to Pogomap in more detail in a future video. And as you can see, it's setting it latitude and longitude, so it's going to be centered on this area when people open up the private map. And next feature is location search. Now this is going to search all locations in an area. I haven't actually tried it because I normally just need to search through my own locations, but if you were to do this, it's going to search all locations, so it'll probably throw up some duplicates, which is why if you're searching for your own particular Pokéstop or gym, then going to your list of added locations and then doing Control F, that would be the way to do it, or the way that I recommend anyway. Then in the settings tab, you've got your filters, so you can filter for nests, gyms, Pokestops, raids, etc., and daily tasks, and you can show and hide sponsored locations, and you can show and hide EX gyms. Now, important thing to mention again is Pogomap is based on user submitted information. It's not like the Ingress Intel map. And the Ingress Intel map will tell you where way spots are, but it won't tell you what's a gym, what's not a gym, what's an EX gym, and it certainly won't show you sponsored locations that would only appear in Pokemon Go, because it's an entirely different game. But it is a useful feature in its own right, and I will explain that in a future video. And if you're ever unsure of something, you can just check on the check mark, and it just reiterates that we rely on users to mark gyms. Now, we are a friendly community, so there's not really any people trolling, like intentionally submitting misinformation, but it could happen, so always worth going to an area and checking that out for yourself to see if everything's in order, because some people have had the tendency to haphazardly just add things to the map. Oh, it's about there, without actually either getting the coordinates from Pokemon Go itself or from the Ingress Intel map. And then you've got other, like hide and show private locations and show your locations only. That could be useful if using the search function, or generally you won't want to do that. But I guess if you've marked someone else's one for removal in an area and you're counting an area, then you can only show your locations. That would be one scenario, because even though you've marked something for removal, it doesn't actually stop counting it in the cell count. And I'm talking about cells now. That is a big topic for another time. And that's the thing I get asked the most questions about. So next thing is the visual. It's currently set to OpenStreetMap, which is the map that the Pokemon Go application uses. And thing to note about the map type is, on the satellite map, it's slightly out of alignment. I don't know why this is. I guess Google doesn't want third parties software to be that accurate, because then why would you go on Google Maps when you could go on this other website that's imitating Google Maps? Pogomap is just really benign website. It's also very niche. But that's just something to bear in mind when you're submitting things. You don't want to submit things in the wrong place because you're going based on what Pogomap says is in an area or a cell. Um, so if I'm wanting a visual cue of what's in an area, then I am using the Ingress Intel map. Uh, but Pogomap is generally pretty good because it can still tell you which maps they're in. And again, I'm going to discuss map cells later on. Um, so S2 cells, these are the map cells I'm talking about. And if you press this button, it will give you a brief overview of what the different cell levels mean. Uh, and yes, that's something to discuss. That's a big topic. And then parks, you can use this feature to search for potential nests and potential EX raid gyms. So if you want to submit a gym and you want to know whether it would have an EX status, you can use this because remember, if you set it to OpenStreetMap, that is the, well, I'm going to say official map of, well, it's technically the official map of Pokemon Go. So whatever it says in Pogomap is going to be an EX gym, then it will also be an EX gym in Pokemon Go. Unless, of course, someone changes the map feature. EX gyms are a topic for another time because it's a potentially big topic as well because there's a list of different map features that can and can't be EX gyms, and some seem a bit weird, but we can go over that in a future video. Now, the location spin distance, what this is, if you click on it, then it will draw a 40-meter radius around the Pokéstop or gym. So that is the location within which you can spin that Pokéstop or gym. Say if I'm, looks kind of like a Venn diagram. Like if I'm within that sort of, I don't know what kind of shape you call it. I guess it's kind of an ovoid shape. In that area, I am able to be in both groups and spin the gym and the Pokéstop. But if I'm over here, then I can only spin the gym. And then the next feature is more important to Pokéstop creation, is the location create distance. And this was something that myself and others asked, like, some people said, oh, well, it's kind of gaming the system, trying to fiddle around with where things are. But if you want to be efficient, you need to know where is the best place for a Pokéstop, especially for a large object like, say, a sports field or a city hall, let's say. Because submitting it anywhere on the pitch or the building, it's perfectly valid. But then, if you submit it in one place rather than another place, you could possibly fit in more Pokestops and or gyms. That's another thing to go over in a future video. Then, location create distance, you see it's made another little circle within the 40 meters. So, with the exception of Pokestops and gyms that have been moved, no Pokestops or gyms can exist within that 20-meter radius. So that's why sometimes you'll see Pokestops and gyms really close together, and that's because they've been moved. Ordinarily, you wouldn't be allowed to have another way spot within the 20-meter radius. Of course, someone needs to tell Niantic that maybe points of interest don't exist in neat 20-meter intervals, but that's a story for another time, because that is another one of my potential bugbears. But I guess if you've got sausage fingers like me, then it can be hard to click on one thing when I'm constantly clicking on another thing because it's very close together. But generally, that's not an issue. So lastly in here, you've got colouring the S14 and S17 cells by status. Again, I'll go over that because those are the two most important cells in relation to Pokestop and gym creation. And you've got the option for colour by friendly colours, and you can totally hide locations that you mark to remove, which is important if you're trying to count up the number of points of interest in an area. Because the whole reason behind the mod status is you won't have to go through the server admins to remove things that are incorrectly on the map. Now, the way it should work is enough people in an area, if they mark something that's incorrect for removal, then it should be removed. But that doesn't seem to work for our area. But I digress. Then finally, in the options, you've got metric or imperial units, and you can enable GPS tracking, which would follow you around as you're out in the field. Seeing as I have two phones. When I'm submitting a Pokestop, I have the main phone in Pokemon Go, and then I have the hotspot phone on Pogomap.info, so I can know where I am without having to switch between applications. So that is just a brief overview, let's say, of Pogomap.info and its various features and why it's potentially useful to you. And I will go over different things in more detail in the future. So thank you for watching if you got this far, and have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!